wanted to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
It's so good to have you back here. I had you last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And then since then, you're like fighting all over the place, doing everything.
Definitely, all the time, staying busy. Got to 6-0 in the past 7 months.
So how many fights is that?
6.
Just 6 in the past? So 1 a month?
No, yeah, ish. Yeah. Ish.
And those, was that before then or no? Because wasn't one of them a little bit older than 6 months?
This one was in August 16th, and this one was January 18th. So this one was like 2 months ago. This one was like a little bit longer.
Oh, okay. Now I get. So then this is really cool. They like have that much. Everyone must be like scared when you come along. It's like.
No, I don't know. Fighters have a lot of belts, so I don't think they're really scared when they see it. If you're really a big dog, you're not really scared of belts because you'll take it from somebody, like me.
Oh my gosh. So next one, May 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's that going to be at?
Sacramento, Hard Rock Casino. Uriah Favors A1 Combat.
So that's what it's for?
Mm-hmm. No, actually, I'm not fighting for a belt for that one. That one's just going to be my 3rd pro fight. So that's MMA. This is for boxing. That's for MMA.
Oh, that's right. You're doing. You always do both.
Yes.
So how does that work with them? Isn't there a conflict sometimes because a boxing match comes up and then you can't do it because you're trying to MMA? How do they like dealing with you?
Somewhat, yeah. They do have a problem with it because my boxing coaches aren't happy with it. My MMA coaches aren't happy with it. But they're okay with it. You know what I mean? Like they're like, well, as long as you be careful and do it right, they're okay with it. But it's not a good idea in their eyes. You know what I mean?
Do you have a manager for each or just one?
No, man.
You don't even have any manager at all? No one guides you? Never.
Well, I have my Coach Mike. He looks out for me, and Coach Marquitos is my boxing guy. That looks out for me.
So when people want you, who do they go to? Just you or your coach?
We don't wait for them to come to us.
That's the way to do it. But yeah, I have heard a lot of people are doing both now, boxing and MMA.
Yeah, it's a lot more common now than it used to be back in the day.
And now you're sporting some cologne?
Yeah, because everybody's always asking me what cologne I wear. This is 1 million Pagorambe. I have like different flavors of it, or different scents of this, but this is what I always wear since everybody wants to know.
Well, can we get it from you? Do you get?
Yeah, I'll be giving out free samples. They'll give you some free samples to be given out, so be looking out for that. I'll post it on my story, IG, come up, Kid559.
Yes, everyone's got to follow you.
Yes,
so where have you traveled in the past 6 months for all these fights?
Just locally, California. I haven't been outside of California. Just San Diego, Sacramento.
California's big. It keeps you busy.
Yeah, it does.
But you have to go north, south, north, south, north, south.
Yeah, going up and down. Yeah, because I was also supposed to fight in the Bay, but that fight fell out, so it's all good.
Are you doing any coaching at all?
No.
But I bet everybody comes up to you and they want to be like you. So how do you just sort of like?
I feel like I got to stay focused on fighting right now because I feel like to be a coach, you got to know how to coach. You know, you can't just be a fighter and coach. Like, you got to understand how to tell people what to do, but I'm not good at that. I don't have a lot of patience. Seriously.
Oh my gosh. And so, since it was the last 6 months, what did you do before the last 6 months? Training? You were training to fight, right?
Yeah.
How often do you train?
So I train like 2 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the middle of the night. Not the middle of the night, but like from 5:30 to 8:30.
And this is like 5 days a week or 7?
5 days a week.
5 days.
And on Saturday, I just do like 1 hour, and Sunday I rest.
That's important, right?
Yeah, resting is important. Yeah.
Well, what's the diet like now?
All veggies. I'm still vegetarian.
I love that. I still can't believe that.
Yeah, I've been vegetarian for a long time. I've been vegetarian for like 6 years now.
And so then people always ask you, how do you get your protein?
Beans, nuts, like dairy, because I still drink dairy, eat eggs, so all that is protein. Because I'm not vegan. Vegans don't eat dairy.
Right. No, and it's funny because I used to be a vegetarian too when I was like during your time, like your age, like for about like 10 years. And but I was not doing what you do. So. Yeah. And so in the morning when you're training, what kind of workouts do you do then?
Normally I run in the morning, like first thing in the morning I'll run, and then sometimes I do my boxing training in the morning, or if not, I'll go do jiu-jitsu in the morning. But besides that, not too much. I just keep it light in the morning because in the afternoon we go hard. And
then is that why did you pass out right away, or are you amped up for a few hours? Yeah.
No, I wish I do. I literally I get home.
You're amped up.
And then I crash out. No, I crash out for like 20 minutes because I'm hella tired from training. But then right after that, I'm right back up, and I can't sleep. I don't sleep much.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad.
Then do you ever take naps in between all this training? Not really.
I wish.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now you got the cologne thing going on.
Yes,
are you ever going to have a fashion line? Because you're pretty trendy.
I'm looking into it. I want to be a model. But I gotta find out where to start. I don't have nobody to start with yet, so somebody could let me know. But
You're modeling a little bit. Tell us, what do you have going on with the casino?
500 Club Casino, they're gonna be my new sponsors, and we're gonna put out a couple commercials, and then hopefully that blows up, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Is that a little acting? Is there a little acting involved?
I don't know yet. We gotta see. We gotta see what they decide. How they
It's
decide
kind of
to
like
put it
acting
together.
and modeling, because you're going to be in front and doing all that.
I gotta read lines, so somewhat down that path.
And when was the first time you went there?
500 Club Casino, a long time ago. I've been going there since I was not 21.
We won't plug that. But so, do you like playing cards? Are you good at it?
I'm alright at it. I'm not hella good at it. I'm good at blackjack, but I'm trash at poker.
Do you have a poker face?
Nah, I'm too aggressive because I always go for it. I always try to call everyone's bluff. That's not a good thing in poker. You know what I mean?
I would think you would have a good poker face, because in fighting you kind of have a poker face. Yeah, okay, that's why I would think you would have a good one.
Yes, like when I'm cutting weight and I'm dying, I can still walk around and laugh like I'm not dying. But in poker, I just kind of try to call everyone's bluff. That's not good.
Oh, that's so funny. So you're there a lot doing that. They have really good food there. What do you eat there?
All veggie stuff. Like if they have sushi or whatever they have. I don't order a lot there, but I know they have some fire fried rice that I get with no bacon in it.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to go there. So you're going to do stuff with them. They're going to sponsor you. I love that. And then when's your next local fight? Do you know when that is, or not really?
I think that's also going to be in May, because that's also going to be for a Fight for the Fallen. So probably a third belt, but we'll see, because we got to see like what the schedule is like. They haven't said this in official contract yet, but then, yeah, hopefully May.
They switch around a lot of times. Sometimes you don't know till last minute, huh?
Yeah. Even if you sign a contract, you don't know until last minute, because a lot of times when you sign a contract, like I went to Bakersfield recently.
Okay.
The past 6 months, I went to fight out there, cut weight, everything, made weight. They gave me a hotel, everything, gas, everything, food, everything, and I went down there to stay there. And I show up to weigh-ins, and my opponent doesn't show up, and they're like, "Oh, we're calling to see where he's at," and no call, no show. So I don't get to fight that night.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah,
huh?
that's literally the last minute, bro.
Oh my
And
God.
it would be better if they would just say something like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make weight," or whatever the problem was, or whatever. But I showed up, made weight, and y'all didn't have to fucking make weight if you didn't go. You know what I mean?
Do you get paid anyway?
Yeah.
And then what happens to them? They get a bad reputation if you do that, if you
they
pull that
actually do.
right.
You get a very, very bad reputation. Promoters don't really want to deal with you if you do that.
Oh my
Even
goodness.
if you miss weight, promoters don't want to deal with you. Yeah. So it's pretty
Have you ever done that?
I miss weight a lot. In Miami years, but not in the pros. Not in the pros.
Oh my gosh, were you close?
Yeah, I was always close. I've never been like hella far away.
And they still said no, you didn't make it. And so you
Yeah, it's
couldn't
still
do
a
it.
bad reputation, because it's like if you're not away, then you're not being professional.
Oh my
But
goodness.
a lot of people don't make weight. Like Gervonta Davis still doesn't make weight till this day. He gets paid millions of dollars for that. But it is what it is.
So what kind of fights are you going to on your downtime when you're not fighting yourself?
All of them. I try to go to as many fights as possible, like in the community. I just like watching fighting all the time, so I try to go to all of them as much as possible. Even the little Emmy shows, like Alaman's Boxing, 5-for-9 fights, Bakersfield Combat Promotion, A1 Combat. Like anybody that comes near Fresno, or even I'll travel to go watch fights. I'll go to Table Mountain Valley Fight Series.
Do they give you like kind of special props because you are a fighter? Is that one of those things you're in? Like,
Somewhat. Some places yes, some places no, because some places are like hella strict. But some places they're kind of like, well, you're the champ, so do what you want. But it all depends. You just got to play it out.
okay, so people contact you for some cologne, for some advice, if they want to like come to your shows or whatever. Can they DM you and you're good about getting back to them?
No. Bro, I get so many DMs a day. It's
Well,
like,
what about with the cologne? Because people you get some credit from that.
No, that's me like hitting them up. You know what I mean? But then like when it comes to like me promoting them, then I go out and talk to people in person. So I'm really not on social media that much.
So how do they say, "Hey, I heard it from him"?
By seeing me like in person. Like I'll walk up to you and I'll give you a sample and a card, and then I'll talk to you and let you know, like, hey, check it out. And then they'll be like, yeah, I heard from Woody Woo, and they'll follow me and Woman.
Are people hitting you up to do fights like online and stuff?
All the time.
Do you get hit up for weird stuff that you're just like, no, that's not not happening?
Bro, they're like, oh, do you want to come fight in this backyard for $2,500? Like, bro, what are you talking about right now?
Have you done any of it? That's pretty good money, though. I'd be tempted to like be like, hey.
Nah. But back in my day, like when I first started, when I was like 19, before I ever had a coach,
you did a lot of stuff, yeah.
I fought in the backyard. Yeah, I had like 2 backyard fights. I actually got knocked out pretty bad one time.
Oh my gosh,
Pretty
there's
bad.
no rules, so it's like that's.
No, it wasn't even that. It was just the person I fought was actually very experienced compared to me. I didn't have no experience or no coach at the time, so I was just wilding. I was just putting money on myself. I was betting it all on myself before I knew how to fight.
So now it's like they gotta have everything established, everything, and you do a lot of like good stuff for the community. A lot of your fights are for that.
Yeah.
So how do
definitely.
they find you and ask you to do stuff like that?
They just watch my other fights, you know. Like a lot of promoters watch my other fights. A lot of promoters all in California know me now. Like all the promoters in California know me. The biggest promoters in Fresno definitely know me. So it's like they kind of just see what they can get if we can work a good deal, and then we go from there.
And before we go, you gotta tell our viewers again who didn't catch you last year about why you're the comeback kid.
Come up, kid.
Come up, kid. Sorry. So, my bad. Come up, kid. Well, now they're not gonna mess up on that.
Yeah.
Come up.
Nah, but I don't know. I just in high school I was always like, you know, getting come ups. I was coming up here, coming up there, coming up here, and I was like, you know, I'm the come up kid because I keep coming up. But yeah, that's how I got that.
I feel like you're up now, though. That's why I'm like, what?
No, on
There's always
the
somewhere
little
to go,
scale,
yeah.
yes, but on the big scale, no.
There's always a place to go higher and higher. So, who's your dream person to fight?
That was a good one. I don't know. Because it had to be between Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, or Gervonta Davis, or Canelo.
Who's like out of them do you think you could take on after
All
like
four
in
of
a few
them
months?
at the same time.
What would be the person that you would take out of them? Like out of like saying I maybe could, and then in 3 months.
Gervonta, because he's the youngest out of all of them. Conor's never going to fight again. Floyd's probably not going to fight again. Canelo's getting old, but Gervonta's still fighting, so maybe Gervonta. Or
Okay.
Shakur Stevenson, or Devin Haney. I'll fight them too. Devin Haney's actually about to fight Jose Ramirez.
Oh really?
Yes, he is.
Well, who's
In
your
San Francisco.
Who's your weight class that people would say that
Devin,
they could see?
Jose.
Oh really?
Gervonta, Shakur, all of them.
I guess because you're taller. That's the thing. Because you're taller than.
Yeah, I'm
So
a
that's
little
why-
bit taller than all those fighters, but I
So you're
make the
just
weight.
leaner, okay.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
a lot leaner.
Well, everyone's gonna follow you. The Come Up Kid. So can you? What's the Instagram? Come Up Kid 559.
Come up, kid, 559.
Okay, I got that
Boom,
right.
Boom.
No one will ever get that right. So everyone's gonna follow you. And then what if we want to buy merch? Do you have any shirts that say that?
I'm actually giving shirts away right now. 500 Club and me are locking in a deal, and they're going to actually be doing meet and greets at their casino. We're going to be giving 150 shirts away free.
Do you know when that's gonna be?
We don't have a date for it yet, but hopefully soon
Spring?
we'll have a date. No, like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is, so it's gonna be really soon.
sorry.
So just,
Is it going to be spring in 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
I think so.
Okay.
So yeah, March 21st. So you guys keep a lookout on that. So that's going to come up really fast, and then we're doing this. Do you think it's going to be on a weekend?
Probably a Friday.
Send me a flyer because I'll put that out there. I'll come out if I'm in town. I'll totally come there because I like
Yes,
the
ma'am.
500 Club. And then
Yes, ma'am.
you'll give me some money to play with.
Hey, there you go.
Ah.
No, they said they're going to get free play cards too at my meet and greet.
Oh my, there's
Meet and greet and
lots
free
of-
T-shirts.
That's a lot of incentives.
It is.
I love
All you got to
that.
do is show up. It just costs your attendance.
How much does it come for most of your fights? Like with the one in May. Where do we get our tickets from?
A1 Combat on evanbright.com. A1 Combat one. I don't know the exact number, but A1 Combat. You could definitely look it up on the internet. Or
Okay.
in my bio on Instagram.
Oh, that's the easiest thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's go to the bio on Instagram. If you guys want to get your tickets, get them now. So thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you, Mrs. And I'll see you soon.
I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And you went to school for a long time.
I did, 6 years.
I know you're passionate about your field. You're like, that's dedication. So tell us what you do now.
Yeah, so I currently work in applied behavior analysis. It's from here on out, I'm just going to say ABA because that's too much to say. It's essentially working with individuals with autism or other intellectual disabilities to try to increase pro-social behaviors and decrease any maladaptive behaviors they may have. Mostly I work with little kids, so theirs can be in schools is where I usually like to work with them at. It can range from hitting, kicking, biting, spitting, just to yelling out in class. So there's a wide range of behaviors I work with.
So you're a patient person.
I would hope so, yes.
Well, okay, so is it better getting it when it's young, like getting them when they are really young, so you can kind of correct that as opposed to when they're older?
Yeah, there's something to say for empirically based early intervention. So the earlier they can get screened for autism or any other intellectual disability, and the sooner we can get services provided, it has substantially better outcomes than prolonging it until they're older. Even in their teen years, it's really hard to reverse behaviors, and you're kind of set in your ways.
And you've probably seen all kinds of that.
I have, yes.
There's probably a lot of people that didn't know what to do when their kids were younger, and then they know later, and then it's like late, and then it makes your job more difficult.
Yeah, and there's also something to say where in the past, I feel like autism and other intellectual disabilities have sort of been more taboo. They haven't really been talked about as much as they are now. So I'm glad to see that the families and individuals who need early intervention have a little bit more accessible resources to go through to get those, just because for a while it wasn't really advertised, I would say.
And then people don't even know that they have autism or it's a different diagnosis. What's the main misdiagnosis you see?
Well, with autism, I'm not a clinician as far as a psychiatrist who's able to diagnose autism or anything like that. I do know that autism has a lot of comorbidities. There's not a lot of people we see who just have autism. There's always something else that kind of goes with it. So not only is our interventions targeted towards, what appears to be autism or autistic tendencies, there's also underlying conditions that we have to be aware of. There's OCD, ADHD, gastrointestinal issues, which are really common for people with autism. There's a lot that goes on.
Gosh, when I hear that, I'm like, aren't we all autistic? Don't we all suffer from one of those things?
The thing is
we all have autistic tendencies. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Don't we all?
Autism's a huge spectrum. So, you can have somebody who's way advanced as far as verbal abilities go, as far as academic abilities
Some
go.
Some of them are higher than other people.
Yes. And then you can have other individuals who might not have a whole lot of verbal ability, who might need a little bit more support needs.
Wow. So how long have you been doing this right now, what you're doing?
I would say, I think since 2021, I became an RBT, which is a registered behavior technician, and it's kind of at the bottom. It's your entry level position into the field of ABA.
You just graduated, so you got into that. And so what have you noticed, just in those 3 years, 4 years, about the progress? Because I'm sure you've seen a lot. What have you noticed the most? Once you get your hand on somebody and the progress you make in their life.
Yeah, progress is different for every individual, and there have been countless times where I've kind of had to scrap everything and start over and look at it from a different lens. Just because when you have students who are younger and even older students, medication issues become kind of a external factor that you can't control for, and especially
because you're not a doctor, you have no control over that.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to medical school anytime
and you spend all the time with them. The doctor that's diagnosing doesn't spend all the time with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's been some interventions where I've had to scrap it and start completely over. There's been other interventions where they're incredibly successful and they end up being put into a less restrictive environment, which is the whole goal for my field, is to kind of work ourselves out of a job and improve their independence and their skills and their social behaviors, life skills even, really, just so they can continue to thrive as an individual in society.
Well, there'll always be a job because there's somebody else, but you want to be stopping at that person, know that, hey, I've made a difference to that person, now it's on to the next student.
Yes, for sure, there's always going to be a job, and especially because ABA is now kind of branching into different components, I guess I would say, of life. You have environmental ABA now, animal ABA, who will go in and retrain fighting dogs to get adopted. There's a bunch of
You don't do that, though.
No, I work with the kiddos. I won't work with the animals, but I'll work with the kiddos.
That is funny. Oh my goodness. Wow. Who'd have thought there's so many? And what about like, I'm kind of curious about your classmates, other people that graduate with you. Are you guys all going to similar fields? Like, what have they done?
Yeah, so ABA is primarily working with kids with autism, usually in the early intervention setting. Unfortunately, even services for preteens and adults are kind of few and far in between. And luckily, my company that I work for is trying to expand that.
Oh, that's good.
We're not trying to reject applicants or families who need our services just based on, you know, the student's age or the client's age. That just didn't seem fair to us to do.
And so do other people that you know that you graduate with, are they kind of like do you guys ever, I don't know, talk to me like, I had this problem, how do you deal with your problem? Do you guys talk like, is that a community like that, or is that weird?
For where I graduated, I did my master's online actually, so we were kind of just all over the place, totally.
Oh, you came out of COVID. You were a COVID graduate. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't get any special. You were just
No, which I totally prefer doing online anyways. I learn better that way, so it worked out for me for the better, actually. But as far as collaboration with other people, I do rely on my team a lot for.
That's good.
Yeah, for any sort of problem I may run into, and sometimes it just takes a different pair of eyes to really see exactly what you're missing.
At what point do you get rid of do you vacate what you were on, the path you were on, and say, hey, now we're going to toss this and start into something new? At what, like after 3 months? Or I know it varies between person, but at what point can you make that decision?
It really does vary. As soon as you feel like your client or your student isn't really making any progress, if it's totally stagnant, we try to look at different parts of a behavior plan, which is essentially a document that outlines proactive and reactive strategies for a behavior. And we kind of pick it apart and see exactly what we're missing.
We could all use that. I need a behavior plan.
I can help you. Yeah, we have, I've done behavior plans on myself to get myself in the gym, where it's like, okay, here's your proactive strategies, here's your reactive strategies, here's your reinforcement. Let's do it.
I love that. You're such a scientist in your own life. Oh my God.
It works.
I need to do that. Come help my clients.
It's all just about reinforcement. But yeah, sometimes it's just, looking at exactly what part isn't working is sometimes really hard to figure out. So as a result, I try to have my teammates come in and look at what I'm seeing, see if they're seeing the same thing. Maybe they're seeing something totally different and I'm already on the wrong track.
How often do you guys help each other out like that?
Every day.
And then you guys really bring in that light bulb and that ding ding, and you're like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep, it's almost every day, every hour, someone is in the group chat like, wait, I figured this out. Wait, I figured this one out. It really is a team effort for our job. Mm-hmm.
But typically it's a team effort, but it's each of you guys have your own people.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have RBTs who are really the backbone of the field. Without RBTs, there would be no service implementation. It would make my job completely useless. RBTs are the people who work one-on-one with the students or clients. And then you have sometimes companies will do like a mid-level supervisor situation where they have a lot of background in ABA, and then they'll be able to provide the RBTs with more instruction and trainings. And then we have my level, which is a BCBA. So I'm in charge of writing those behavior plans and seeing, what's working, what isn't, going to those meetings with the parents, the schools, and making sure that we're on a collaborative team.
How good are the parents and teachers at reinforcing the stuff that you're telling them to do?
It's a hard situation. No one wants to really hear from someone outside their classroom or outside their family like, hey, what you're doing isn't working, or hey, we need to step in and do this. So sometimes we are met with a little bit of pushback, but luckily my team has really created that sort of collaborative environment where as soon as we get those teachers on board and explain the rationale, or the families on board and explain that rationale, everyone's really understanding about it.
That's because they come at you sometimes like you don't know, you're not with them 24/7. You just met them, you don't really know. They come at you with that, huh? Sometimes.
Well, it does take a while to know the student or the client, just as it takes a while to know anybody, especially when you're dealing with something as precious as somebody's child. It takes a while to know them and to make sure that you're doing the right things. But as long as you prioritize the needs of your client and the outcomes that will benefit from their services that we're providing, then you really can't go any wrong.
Do they ever have like a really terrible reaction where they start reverting and start acting worse than when you got a hold of them?
It has happened before, yeah. There's just a lot of different confounding variables, which is just stuff we can't control for. So, I mean, even just something as simple as puberty that everybody goes through.
Oh, gosh. Right?
That can make things do a complete 180. And there's just so many things that, we're not in their lives 24/7 either. Nobody really is except for themselves.
Right, that's very true.
Even parents aren't in their lives 24/7. They go off to school, they go off to their, private practice program, they go off to speech. There's so many things that are unseen by all parties involved that we just really can't control for every single variable that happens.
So who hires you?
For my company with Education Behavior Consultants, we have our own private company, and we're contracted through Fresno Unified currently, and we did just open a clinic, so we're now accepting clinic clients as well.
So, and that's all ages with the clinic. Mm-hmm. And then, so when you're done with the Fresno Unified, like, what if parents really, really like you and they're like, well, I want you to still come by and to see my kid outside of all that? Are you allowed to, or how does that work?
It's a very tricky situation. We do have an ethics code that kind of outlines, double relationships, multiple relationships, all that. So as long as we refer back to that code and make sure that we cross our T's, dot our I's, usually we're pretty okay to accept services after the fact, as long as it's not the same RBT implementing those services.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So you do work with them at that. And can you do private? So if someone's not part of that at all and they like you or they want, can they say, well, I like her and she's good with my child, can they hire you, or they just hire you for the company, or they tell the company, hey, I want her?
Usually when I'm the BCBA currently for the clinic side of things, mm-hmm. so they would just kind of go through our company website and then apply for a consultation, and then that's when insurance gets involved, and then we can kind of see the steps, how it goes from there. It's a whole intake process.
So as long as their insurance is kind of covered, you guys can do whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
to service whoever has that insurance, or whoever's covered.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and insurance is a whole other world that I am not the expert in.
Of course, no.
I have a whole great, amazing HR and admin team behind me who knows all of that. I was like, I don't know what a client code is.
That's going to be rough. People are like, oh, can you? You're like, I have no idea if I accept you or not.
Yeah, insurance is a whole other master's program, basically. I'm not doing that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So what do you hope to do now? You said you're starting at the lowest position. So where do you go from here?
So I did start at the lowest, but now I'm kind of rising through.
Yeah.
After completing my master's program, now I do have that BCBA certificate where I can write those programs and train RBTs and try to do best by those clients that have our services.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And then you're really happy with the company that you're at. So
I love my company.
That's great. When anyone can say that like that, that's a really good company to work for.
I love my company. I have worked in ABA for, I want to say, 3.5 years now, and I've been through various school districts, various private companies, and there is no company that I would rather be working for other than Education Behavior Consultants. It's just a huge collaborative network, not only with our supervisory team, but even with our RBTs. It's just, everyone says oh, our workplace is like family, and then they don't mean it, but ours really is.
So other places before, were they not as helpful, or people working together? What was problems with other places before, or other companies before?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that there were specific problems necessarily with each one. It just wasn't necessarily a good fit for me. And the kind of environment that I was looking for, I wasn't finding it in those other environments. So I'm really glad that I ran into this one, and I just saw a link on a website and applied for a job, and I got it. So here we are.
That is really cool. And then you have a company that's expanding. They're looking to do more things.
Yes. So we started working with Fresno Unified in 2020, right after COVID, as I'm sure the increase for behavior services in school spiked. Those just lack of socialization, lack of exposure to certain school aspects. It definitely did take a toll on some of the students that we currently provide services to. So we did transition from Fresno Unified to opening this clinic. We just barely got it open in January, so it is still very, very new. We're still trying to get in network with various insurance companies, trying to get me in network with those insurance companies. And again, luckily, that's not my responsibility. Right? That's not my forte. I'm just there to work with the kids. And then we're currently trying to go even outside of the Central Valley and to various school districts within the Central Valley.
Wow, that's a lot. How many people are in the company about?
I'm going to say we have about 60 so far, so we're still relatively small, but hoping to continue growing as the need for our services expands and as just kind of the good news of the work we do travels.
Yeah, and then do you ever get people like in clientele where you're like, a school environment's not for them, they should be homeschooled? Or do you ever have some wacky advice that you give these people, or you have to keep them where they are for the most part?
Yeah, so based on the data, every decision we make is always reflecting the data that we take. It's never just us deciding on a whim like they don't belong at this site or they belong in homeschool.
You said you're better online doing classes. That's how you're better at learning. So then when you recognize that in other people, how do you help them with that?
Yeah, so it's all data-driven decisions. So if we do have students who start in a less restrictive environment, so it would be sort of like an SDC classroom, which is a special day class, or an autism classroom, and then we realize that maybe the environment is too overstimulating, or maybe there's not enough one-on-one support, or it could just be as simple as maybe they just need a little bit of a modified schedule, and then they can go to a more restrictive environment, which would be like an intensive behavior program classroom, which is very unique to Fresno Unified, but they can, go from various different places. It just kind of depends on where the data takes us.
Oh, so and that's good that they listen to you, because I know when you're with Fresno Unified and you're like, hey, well, I want them not to be in school that much, they might be like, hey, you can't get kids out of school, but sometimes you just tell them, hey, maybe they could just come very limitedly.
Yeah, usually as long as we have data backing our choices and backing our recommendations, everyone seems to be pretty on board with what we do. Sometimes we are met with a little bit of pushback, but that's to be expected, especially when we're, walking into a school that we don't actually work for, or walking into a home of somebody that, they have their, values and morals established, and it can be met with pushback, but usually we just try to work as collaboratively as possible and really demonstrate the benefits that can be had from going into a different environment.
Wow. And so what's the age group that you typically specialize with?
I love working with the littles. I love them.
3 to 6?
3 to 6. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, usually anywhere from preschool to about 1st or 2nd grade. That's usually the group of students that I work the best with. It's a lot of pretend play, so you have to get very creative with what you're doing. I have one student where she would bring a little baby doll to school, and she would be that baby doll's mom. And so I'm like, well, we have to show her that we can do our homework. We have to show her we can sit down and do our work, right? She's like, yeah, for sure. So now we're sitting down, doing our work, turning everything in, raising our hand appropriately, just because she wanted to show the baby that she could do it.
That's really cool.
It's coming up with very unique and creative situations very quickly to solve a problem.
And I bet you have other people that you work with too that prefer older kids.
Yes, it's all a personal preference. I have a couple people who like working in the high schools, and then we have a couple people who like working in middle school, and most of us like working with the younger students. That's pretty typical in ABA.
Because that's when you get them before try to correct all the bad behavior.
Yeah, we're trying to do the early intervention rather than kind of going in and reversing a bunch of behaviors that may have already been pretty set in stone.
And then what about how they interact with their siblings and their family? How do you help with that?
That one, we unfortunately don't get a lot of time to do when we're working in the school district. So that's why we're very excited to open up these clinical services, so then we can actually go into the home or bring family members into the clinic and start seeing how they interact. Just because when they're in the school setting, we're only working with them, from the time the first bell rings to the time the bell to go home rings. So we're unfortunately not able to target that too much in the school district setting, but I'm looking forward to targeting that when we're in the clinic.
Right, because I bet that has a big impact.
Oh yeah, for
sometimes
sure.
They're just not getting all the attention you're giving them during the day. When they go home, it all ends.
Yeah, especially if you have families with 5, 6 siblings in there. There's only so much attention that can go around. So yeah, it's definitely one of those harder things to work on, and just in the school district, unfortunately, it's not super possible for us to do.
What's your advice to anybody getting into this field?
Patience is absolutely a must. You have to be okay with, all the behaviors. You have to be okay with not holding a grudge the next day. If you do get hit, bit, kicked, spit on, if you have to run into traffic after one of your students, you have to be able to come back the next day like none of it ever happened.
Wow! Oh my God! I didn't know your job was so dangerous.
Yes, it very much is, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Seeing some of those outcomes, I've potty trained kids who are not my own kids. I've taught students how to talk. I've taught students how to raise their hand instead of just standing up and screaming. There's just so
Probably how to
many
eat properly and stuff too. Just the most simple tasks.
things that neurotypical people or people who grew up with a normal developing brain. Things that people take for granted or things that people typically overlook, where it's like, okay, they aren't able to hold a fork and put the food in their mouth without it all spilling on the table right in front of them. So it's targeting fine motor skills, gross motor skills, social skills even, asking peers to play with them, how to take rejection if they say no. There's so many different things that we target, and I'm really excited to continue on with this to see exactly how much difference I can make.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. What's the website? So if anybody has any questions or wants to get a hold of you guys.
It's educationbx.com, and you can see all of our statistics in there, exactly what we've done for Fresno Unified. Right now we don't have a ton of statistics for clinic just because we just opened.
Oh yeah,
but
of course.
There's a lot of data to be said for our success and our interventions for Fresno Unified.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you.
So you're the Lone Ranger. Tell us about that.
Well, I started as a handicap. Well, I mean, I would say I started out, in a bad motorcycle accident, and then I was told that I may never walk again, and then
What did you do before that? Before your motorcycle accident, where were you working?
Oh, I was a supervisor at Terminex, and then.
Oh, so you're still in the same field?
Yeah, same field. Yeah,
Okay.
I mainly was doing just termite, and I love doing the termite, and it's simple stuff.
Did you ever do? I thought you did ag stuff too. Were you ever doing ag pesticides or not really?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of it's all intertwined with these.
Right.
I mean, because you still have to learn everything as you go. You have to learn everything about chemicals and how to apply it without doing anything to hurt the environment. So.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. Yeah. The main thing is not hurting yourself because you have to wear the proper PPE. But yeah, it all plays itself out as you go.
Yeah. Okay. So you were working at Durban, and then you got in a motorcycle accident. What happened with that?
Well,
where was that at?
It was coming down the highway. After leaving a funeral, I ended up getting into a bad accident, and then
was it locally?
It was coming from Merced, and then as I was coming from Merced, I ended up getting hit from behind, and pretty much it all played itself out. I lost. Well, now I got one leg and all this extra stuff, but I was able to overcome it, and I became like the head salesman at one company, and as I became the head salesman at that company, I thought to myself, I was like, hey, why continue working for someone when I can work for myself? I just kept working, and then as I worked for the people, I just learned the whole trade and learned it all, and then I was trying to figure out how can I start a company and what it takes to start a company and how long it would take to start the company. But then as I got into starting the company, I was like, oh, damn, it's a whole lot. It's more than meets the eye because you have to pay for so much.
And you have to be really insured too, huh,
Yeah.
for all that stuff.
Yeah, the insurance part is, I mean, it all works itself out as you gain the customers and you
That's
gain the
good.
things, but it's mainly offering the things and helping the people. You want to be a help, not just help to yourself.
Right. How long did it take you to learn how to walk again?
It took me about a month and a half.
That's it? What year did this happen?
It happened in 2019. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the second accident.
Well, that was
the first one I got hit from behind. The second one I said, you know what? I'm strong. When you're young and you're dumb and all that extra. You don't think anything. You don't think anything of it. You think you're above the world and all that extra stuff. And then you go over and beyond. And I got back on another motorcycle, and when I did, I ended up losing both legs.
And then you, who hit you in the side? Which one was the one you got clipped from behind?
That was the first one.
Driving back from the funeral?
Yeah,
So then the second time.
Yeah, that's when I was like, hey, it's not my fault. And then the second one, I was like, hey, I just hit a turn and it was in the bad weather. And yeah, I ended up sliding. And yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Slid and lost my legs. But then.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I felt it all. Yeah. But I mean, God has blessed me with the ability to be able to overcome it. And, you know, I would say, like, depending on the person and I would say the mental ability and how far are you willing to go and what you can do, you know, because some people will just give up. But that's why I would say I'm here to inspire them to not give up, and you can continue to keep going as long as you're willing to go, you know. No, just don't give up. You know, I don't care what happens to you, but you can just pick yourself up and just keep going.
I've never heard of a month and a half of learning how to walk. That's really impressive. Is that like a record?
Yeah. Well, actually, look, both legs were destroyed. This one was completely destroyed, and it's called AFO, like it's drop foot. So this foot, it was reconstructed, and I had no Achilles. They removed my Achilles, and this foot was pretty much an amputated leg, so I had to figure out how to walk again. So I put this leg onto a wheelchair, and then I started learning how to walk again. And I didn't have a prosthetic yet, so I was just moving around and just pushing myself to walk again. And I was told I would never walk again by the doctors, and they said, hey, you may never walk again, and that pretty much drove me to walking again. And I've ran marathons. I've ran. You know, I've done many things already.
Oh my gosh, you really ran a full marathon?
Well, not a full half.
That's still impressive.
But I've been able to do it based upon just knowing that if another man can do it, then I can do it. You know, just like if someone else can drive a car, I can drive a car.
Oh my goodness, you know? You've never gone back on a motorcycle again, right?
No, I don't want to lose my hands. Then I can't have fun no more.
Can you be on a motorcycle with prosthetic legs? Is that possible?
Yeah.
It's just like driving, kind of like, I mean, it's just like the same.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the same. I don't think it would be it wouldn't be as fun. I wouldn't. From my perspective, I don't think it would be as fun because, you know, like I might lose a leg, like literally, you know. But I would say, I just wouldn't want to take a chance, you know. And I don't think my kids would want me to take a chance either. They'd be like, hey, you know, you're dumb, Dad. I mean, just thinking about it, you know, I mean, I wouldn't die. And that's the thing, like, from my perspective, me seeing death multiple times, and I just wouldn't take a chance at something so crazy, you know, because it would just be a waste of energy and time. You know. So how long were you out of work? You were for Terminix at this point, right? I was out of work for literally like 3 years. Wow. Yeah, and it sucked. It was the worst time. Like I was sitting there beating myself up like, what am I gonna do? Like, I mean, it was like the worst time ever. And I was walking, I was trying to run. I was trying to run. Imagine trying to run. You have a fake leg, right? And as you have this fake leg, you're trying to run, but you can't run. Because you have a fake leg, but the fake leg can only walk. At the time they gave me one leg, the foot, because these feet, there's certain type of feet. In the feet that you get, there's one that can walk, there's one that can run, there's certain type of feet that you can get. The foot that I had can only walk. It was like an old person leg. Like so I was running and it was like I was running with a peg leg. So it was like the worst feeling ever. So they started getting you better legs as time went on? Yeah. Over time, I kind of gradually worked my way in, and then it took a little bit of time to run. And then when I actually got those full runs in, it was great. Like, I mean, it was like a feeling that, I mean, it was an amazing feeling. But then you run a little bit too fast, you know. You got to learn how to like pace yourself. Because it's like it's an actual great run, you know. Some legs are, you know, a little over and beyond. You can actually run faster than a normal human, but you know, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, but it's fun, you know. It's only as far as you can take it, which you can do with, you know, whatever you can do with your own body, you know. And so now you have your own company. Yeah. So after not working for 3 years, then what'd you get back into? You just straight went back? I went back into the same field, but instead of being the employee, now I'm the employer. But I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's more technical, and it's more, instead of being just the technician, I'm the office, I'm everything. I'm the whole 9 yards. Instead of just being one person, I'm everything, you know. So I answer the calls, I answer everything, I do it all. It's like everything and all in one. So it's more overwhelming, but I mean, it's great, I would say. I love it. I mean, I don't hate it, but over time it'll work itself out. That's how I see it.
So when you get employees, you are no longer going to be the Lone Ranger. You're going to change your name.
No. I mean, everyone will be alone with me.
So right now, who's your clientele?
There's many people. It just comes. It consistently generates.
So are you more with houses, or doing commercial, or like?
I do
residential?
homes. I do commercial. I do whatever comes along. You know, because I'm pretty much I'm on Yelp. I'm on.
And is it monthly? Most of your services are monthly, or like by every other week, or when you go out?
It consistently just keeps coming. It comes daily. So,
I'm saying with the same client.
For termite's only like a, how do you say? Termite comes in, and as it comes in, like I do the inspection. If they decide, hey, we want to go with you, then they'll go with me. But depending upon the pricing, usually people want to do a quote and they want to get multiple quotes. Like they want to get multiple estimates through either, you know, depending upon how much they want to spend or how they feel about, you know, the warranties or how they feel about, you know, your services. I mean, they just want to go and shop around. So, I mean, they'll ask me, hey, what can you offer? What do you offer? And then they'll go and ask another company, what do they offer? And then we'll go based upon, you know, they'll go based upon whatever they feel is more comfortable, you know? So, I mean, I can't really say, like, my closing rate is at like, I would say anywhere like 65%. I mean, it would be around that range. I mean, it's not really the high, great range. I mean, depending upon, like, you know, how many people call. They call every day, but majority of them are like, hey, I don't like that price. Like, I mean, I've had one person say she was mad because I denied the fact that I just didn't want to move forward with just doing the inspection. I didn't want to do the inspection because it was too many questions. I got asked so many questions, like, hey, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? I said, you know what? I don't want to move forward. I said, look, you can call someone else and ask them all these questions.
Oh
hey,
my
come
gosh.
on, think about it. Look, okay, now, if I go and I do this inspection, now what's going to happen later on? I feel as if I'm going to get called again and I'm going to get questioned again and again and again. So I would rather someone else get this.
That's so funny.
Let someone else get questioned like that. Not me. Let Terminex. Let somebody else get questioned that can handle these questions. Like,
were they weird questions?
They're outrageous. Like, I mean, it was crazy.
Well, what's an example? You got to give me an example now.
An example would be like, okay, are you gonna open the wall? No. Can you hear what's going on in the walls? And I said, no. I said, look, what I do is I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna give you a visual inspection of what's going on the property. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna visualize what I can see. I don't have X-ray eyes. I can't see through your walls, but what I can see was visual. What's a visual? What I can see. If I see, hey, there's termite, there might be a visual termite, there might be, mud tubes, or there can be frass, or there can be whatever. If I see it visually, then I'm gonna give you a report on it. Or there can be fungus, there can be a possible, water damage or whatever. But if I don't see it, I can't say, hey, there's water damage in the wall that I can't see on the black wall. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, but I'm not going to put my ear against the wall and go, hey, I can hear the termites inside the wall. I'm not going to do that because that's weird. Like, hey, I'm not going to walk up to the wall and start knocking on the wall.
That is a funny question.
No, but it was nuts. And then, okay, now are you going to go on top of the roof? start knocking on the rooftop. No, that's not my job.
I could see why you weren't going to go there.
Like I said, look, all these questions made me believe that maybe you might be on medication or something. So I think that maybe
I would have thought I was getting punked.
I thought it was a prank. For me, I thought it was a prank. So I didn't want to move forward with it. I figured, maybe someone else should take this job on. I want to walk away. So I walked away from it. Me walking away from it would be the best option, right? Instead, if I would have moved forward with it, and then let's say I moved forward with it, I accepted the money. Now I'm obligated to give that person whatever they ask, and then I get attacked with all kinds of crazy questions. I just prefer not to go with it.
So if someone is spraying for termites, how often does the service, you have to service them? Like a monthly? That's what I was kind of trying to figure out.
No. It's a yearly thing. So, okay.
For a year.
Let's say you get a fumigation, right? Or not a fumigation. Or let's say you get a subterranean termite treatment, right? It's going to be a perimeter treatment around your home, and it's going to be warranted up to a year. So I'll come out in a year, do an inspection on your property to see if there's any active infestations. If there is, let's say a gutter broke on your house and you didn't maintain it. Now, the area where the gutter broke, the chemical became diluted in that area, but the subterranean termites broke through that barrier. And then now in this area, they're in that area, they made their way through that. They broke through the barrier, they made it through, and then now you got an active infestation there. Now, it's called a Section 2 area, pretty much because of the gutter breaking.
Okay.
There's water coming, the water made its way through. They have a source. They have a break through the line, right? So I would come in. I would do a spot treatment in that area if I find the active infestation in that area, because you have a warranty within that year. That would be something that would be valid. Now, if they ask me, hey, come in, I feel like I got termites. I still feel like I got termites. I would come in and inspect the property, and if I don't find anything, then there's no termites. Hey, we're good. Give them the comfort on, hey.
So there's no preventative spray. It's only once they have you.
There's preventatives, yeah.
Okay.
Depending upon, if a customer says, hey, I just want to get the house treated just to make sure that there's no termites on the property.
So how often do you spray for that?
Not that often. Because people don't really want to spend a couple $1,000 or $1,000 to do a preventative treatment if there's nothing, if there's no termites.
So it's one of those things you pretty much are only called when there's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, because let's say you go to a house and it's going to cost you, let's say $1,600 or $2,000 to do the treatment. They're going to be like, hey, I don't want to do it because that's $2,000 out of their pocket, and they don't want to waste that
right
money,
No, I understand. So do you do any preventative stuff for other pests, or really you just focus on termites?
Mainly termites would be the main thing. Like for another pest, like let's say there wouldn't really be preventatives for other pests except for rodents or something like that. Would be like the only preventatives you would do is putting out like bait stations or stuff like that. Would be the only preventatives you can do for like other pests.
Did you spray for other things besides just termites?
Not
regularly.
No,
it's really just termites.
Yeah,
only.
termites would be like.
So people just call you when there's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. They always call for a problem. Yeah.
And how do they know? What's mistaken a lot of times? When do people call you when they think they have termites and they don't? What's another what it's?
There's many things like there's fungus infections. Like let's say you got like fungus infections on your fascias. You got fungus infections on your roof shielding and stuff.
So people
like
just assume that that's a termite problem, and it's not.
Well, it's something that can lead to termites too, as well. Because termites will feed.
So at that point, wouldn't you get a preventative if you have something that could lead to it?
I wouldn't do a preventative on it, but I would recommend to remove and replace it. Remove and replace those wood members. That way, that you don't have any issues on the property. Yeah. That would move forward with that.
But most people don't know anything until it's too late, huh? That's when it becomes like a huge problem.
Usually they wait until it's too late.
Right.
Yeah, they'll wait. They'll let it continue. Like, okay, for example, a toilet, right?
Okay.
There's a loose toilet. Just having a loose toilet will cause subterranean termites. The reason why, because just that loose toilet being loose, there's water seeping underneath into the slab. And if it's not a slab, it's usually on a rice foundation. There's water leaking, and with that leaking water going in there, subterranean termites thrive off of moisture conditions. So
wow,
just that moisture, they have an area where they can start the mud tubes. They make their way up. Bam, you got subterranean termites on the property that you can't even see. I mean, a majority of people don't see it because it's in areas where it's not visible.
You're not around, yeah.
Or even in the shower pans. If you got a crack in the shower pan, most of the people don't correct it. They'll literally be it for years, and they'll wait, and then they got subterranean termites all on the wall studs. I mean, the wall studs are completely covered, and then the whole entire house is the whole entire shower is just completely covered in subterranean termites, and it's eating the whole entire house. But
what's the worst case you've ever seen?
I've seen the bathtubs caving in. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, I've seen literally like the floor joists literally completely eaten completely out. I've seen ceiling joists eaten, gone.
So what do you tell them at that point? Is it?
Well, to remove and replace it, call a contractor.
So you have to just replace the floor, you have to replace the ceiling, you have to replace the roof.
Yeah, everything needs to be removed and replaced. I mean, either that or reinforced. I mean, there's different ways of going about it. I mean, but I always recommend to have somebody come out and take a look at it because, I mean...
So they need the treatment from you, and then they need to replace it. They need both.
The treatment needs to be recommended due to the fact that if it hasn't been treated, then the subterranean termites will continue to destroy the property.
They'll spread beyond whatever.
And then if it's drywood termites, then I would recommend doing a fumigation due to the fact that a local treatment is okay. It's only okay for, I would say, like for a limited time, only in one location. But it doesn't last. They'll literally go from one location and transfer to another location and destroy your home.
Wow.
So let's say, for example, I do a local treatment here, like on that wall, and then they'll relocate to the next wall, and you won't notice them until they start showing themselves on this wall. And the worst part about it is that it's something that can cause a lot of damage to your property, and you won't even know about it until they're visible. And the worst part about it is most people don't want to go with the fumigation because they're like, it's too costly, but why not protect your property? That's like me going and taking my car and then just, putting a Band-Aid on it.
And you can't really put a Band-Aid on this. It's like, it's like...
I mean, if you're driving your car, right, and you know damn well you got to change your oil, why not change the oil?
Right.
Why wait until your car's going to blow up?
How do we contact you if we need your services?
Oh, you can contact me. You can find me on Yelp. You can find me on Yelp, or you can look me up on Google. I'm on Google.
The
Yelp.
Lone Ranger, guys. You got to remember that one.
Yeah.
And you'll go everywhere in the Central Valley, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm in 4 counties. I'm in Madera County. I'm in Kings County. I'm in Merced County and Fresno County as well. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I hope I never need you, but I'm glad I know you if I do.
Yeah, if you need me, you can always give me a call and I can help you out.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Oh, you're welcome.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running.